Well, good morning, good afternoon, depending on which time zone you're in across our large country of Canada. My name is Remy from Logix Academy. Super excited to be here with you today. As you start joining this webinar and course, I encourage you to introduce yourself using the chat feature at the bottom, which would allow you to share a little bit about yourself, where you're from, who you are, what your role is in education. Share with us your experience around robotics and coding, any experience you have with Scratch or MakeBlock or mBlock 5 or MakeCode as software platforms. Encourage you to share that. It's wonderful to connect with a group of who have common interests. So it's really exciting to connect with everyone and learn. And we're going to be sharing with you some tools you can use to connect and collaborate throughout this whole 8-week course. So that's really exciting. We are recording this session, and we'll be recording every session. And we'll explain a little bit more later around where and how you can access these recordings after today as well. So again, it is 11:30 Eastern at this time. We'll give a couple more minutes for folks to join, but we do want to make it our goal to start right on time every week and end on time every week. We understand everyone has lots of virtual commitments these days, so we want to make sure we respect everyone's time accordingly. So again, as you're joining, I encourage you, I see lots of people in the chat getting, sharing who they are, where they're from, their experiences in robotics and coding in the past, so that's wonderful. Welcome everyone to the conversation, and welcome to this online course and this Team on Board program. I'm really excited to be sharing with you shortly everything about this program. Again, good morning or good afternoon. My name is Remy from Logix Academy, and super excited to be here with all of you on this journey that we're going to embark on around online training using the mBlock 5 platform, and sharing with you lots of wonderful resources that you can use remotely with your students, as well as just for your own learning and benefit. As we get started here, which we will get started in just 2 minutes, I encourage you to join in the conversation in the chat, and we'll be able to share with you all the information on how to continue the conversation during the weeks and where to access all the information. If you've joined right now and until you get started, I want to make sure that you have access to mBlock 5. It's a free resource available at mblock.cc. You can use the browser version, or you could download it on any platform. So I encourage you right now to take a few minutes to make sure you have it open. And also, if you haven't already downloaded the resources for today's lesson, you can go to logixacademy.com/STEAM on board and click on download lesson materials for lesson 1. And that's what we'll be using for today. So I encourage you to do those 2 things until we get started, which we will shortly. So again, introduce yourself in the chat, get mBlock 5 ready, and download the curriculum for lesson 1. And we'll get started in just a minute. And to all those, these are 1-hour weekly classes or sessions. So we will be ending at 12:30 Eastern time. Again, looking forward to working with all of you as we get started in a few seconds here. All right, well, we'll get started, and if there's any other folks joining in late, they'll be able to catch up and even rewatch some of the parts of the training. So again, real pleasure to have all of you join us today. My name is Rami, and I'm from Logix Academy, and I'm really excited to be sharing with you the STEAM on Board mBlock 5 online training. Throughout this whole 8-week course, if you're always able to share on social at Logix Academy, at MakeBlock, and hashtag SteamOnBoard LogixPD. So that's if you're active on social, feel free to share and connect there for this course. For those of you, many of you know Logix. For those of you who don't, Logix is a Canadian company specialized in STEM robotics and coding education. We have 3 divisions in the company. Logix Education, focused on integrated robotics solutions, curriculum, and training for teachers, schools, and school districts, boards, as well as ministries of ed in Canada. We have our Logix Academy program, which is our in-school and out-of-school experiences for children, as now virtual experiences for children. And we work in the consumer product space as well, working with some of the large retailers like Toys R Us, Best Buy, Chapters Indigo, to bring these solutions to learning at home. As an organization, we work with many schools and educators across the country, and it's been such an honor to continue to grow and collaborate with many of you folks, as well as with many other educators across the country. So many of you know a lot of the solutions. Many of you might be familiar with Metatalab or Dash and Dot, Cody Rocky, Neuron, HaloCode, MBot. We have quite a selection of diverse suite of the best of robotics and coding, as well as even makerspace solutions, 3D printers and laser boxes, which is a laser cutter. So you can get to learn a lot about our solutions, but for this course, we're going to be focusing completely on an online solution with no need for any hardware at all. Fundamentals at Logix is our Learn to Code curriculum and Code to Learn lesson library, which is available for each hardware and each platform. Our Learn to Code focused on fundamentals of computer science and digital literacy, following international standards, and our Code to Learn focused on integration through provincial standards across the whole country. So we have alignment in all 10 curriculum standards across the country in math, science, English language arts, social studies, and art for our lessons to actually enrich and bring in these solutions into the classroom. We do quite a lot of professional development in person when we were all allowed, and we're all out there, and hopefully soon we're going to get back out there and visit and see many of you face to face. We've done a lot of online webinars, interactive groups, and recently through this transition, been really honored and proud to share our virtual learning and training series, which we have going on right now. We have a large number of different sessions, thousands of educators taking courses with us, all for free, all registered on our website, logixacademy.com/virtual training. And thanks to the support of all of our partners in making this happen, from Microsoft, Minecraft, MakeBlock, Wonder Workshop, as a global training partner for many of these organizations. We're really excited to be able to share all these for free for educators to support them. And so what a great ability for you to learn during this time. Having said that, today is really a start of something great, start of our STEAM on Board online training course, which is going to be an 8-week course every Friday at 11:30 Eastern time, to really tailor to equip you with resources, comfort to work with your students in your classroom. So to get started, we're going to be working with you today and actually transitioning to lesson 1 and working through lesson 1 for many of you who've never used mBlock, to really jump right in. And to get started, you can simply access mBlock 5 from mblock.cc, and it's available in browser, so you don't even need to download anything, or you can download it on any platform: Windows, Mac, iOS, even Android, Linux, and Chromebook. And quite simply, you can just go to the website and create in the browser, and that will open the experience right inside the browser, or you can download it right into your desktop. As well, what we've done is we've provided all the resources every week for our lessons right on our website. So your core website is logicsacademy.com/STEAM-on-board, and that's where you'll be able to access every week's lessons and materials, which you could download prior to the webinar, as well as after the webinar is complete. We'll be posting the recorded video so that you can go back and watch it anytime you would like. And also, as we have more people joining this training after week 1, you could share this with your friends and colleagues, and they can join the training, and all they do is just watch previous lessons, and that way they can catch up. So there's no commitment or need to having started from the beginning. But again, if you're here with us live, it's awesome. So simply, you can go to the STEAM on Board website, and you'll see this is where anyone can actually register for this course, but also where you'll be able to access and download all the curriculum materials. So if you haven't done so already, I would encourage you to open it. You can open this right in Open Link for Google Drive, or you can download the materials for yourself on your local computer. And again, these links will be live and active for future, because this is what you could do with your students as well to get them engaged in this material, or other top teachers or colleagues of yours. So we're all going to be working on mBlock curriculum. So I wanted to start off by sharing with you what is mBlock 5. So mBlock 5 is a really powerful platform that is very much built on Scratch 3.0, if you're familiar with Scratch 3.0 or Scratch in general. However, it lets you integrate hardware equipment, things like the Kodi Rocky, the mbot, Halo Code. It also lets you connect any Arduino board. It lets you connect the microbit, so even non-MakeBlock hardware. It is created by MakeBlock as a company. However, it's open to other hardware platforms. And one of the key things I want to share with you is it's got really powerful IoT so Internet of Things connectivity and AI capabilities. So you can do visual recognition, audio recognition. You can connect in really cool things to make devices, turn switches and connect to Google Classroom. So really powerful tools. And we even on our website have a table to show you a comparison of mBlock, Scratch, and MakeCode. All wonderful platforms. They all have their pros and cons of what they're able to do. So how do we all stay connected after today? And I would encourage you to take a moment, even right now, if you have time, to just click on the link here, logicsacademy.com. logicsacademy.com/community, and join the discussion group, which is specifically built for you right now, mBlock 5, MakeBlock STEAM on Board. This is where we as a group of learners and trainers can all connect throughout the week and throughout the 8 weeks after today's conversation. So today you can ask questions right in the live chat. You can inquire about anything we're doing and anything we're demonstrating. But say you're learning and you want to share what you're doing after today. You want to connect with other folks in this group after today or throughout the next 8 weeks. Absolutely, please join the community. It's all open and it's free to join the community. And make sure to subscribe to the mBlock 5 STEAM on Board discussion. And even throughout today, you can start adding things in there. So if you are on the community, we've just started opening this here, but you can come right in, make sure you subscribe, and you can add all your comments, questions, anything you want to share with us throughout as a group throughout the next 8 weeks and even beyond that. So that's everything I wanted to share with you to get started. Again, we're really excited to be here with you to share everything to do with mBlock 5, teaching and learning online. And if you have any questions throughout this training, please don't hesitate to ask in the chat. And we're going to have some time right at the end for open question answer where you can unmute yourself and share in the discussion. So right now, I'm going to turn it over to Mina. Mina will be our facilitator and trainer for this series. And he'll be walking us through the 8 lessons throughout the next 8 weeks, again, which you will be able to access, work with your children on, students on, share with your colleagues. So again, I'll hand it over to Mina. And Mina himself is an educator, a high school math and science teacher. He's been a facilitator with Logix for over 3 years. And he's also in charge of Logix's curriculum as a curriculum manager. So again, feel free to connect with either himself or myself after this training. But again, I would direct it through the community platform so we can all keep enjoying the conversation. All right, I'll turn it over to you, Mina.
All right, thanks, Rami. I'm really excited to have everyone join us for this first lesson in MakeBlock and mBlock 5. And just going through the chat and reading some of the comments of, some of you have some experience in coding and robotics, some of you don't. So I do want to assure you that as we're going through this lesson and the subsequent lessons that are coming up, no coding experience is required, but if you do have the experience, that's great to have. But we'll get you kind of settled and working through mBlock 5. So first of all, we have the lessons that are uploaded onto the website logixacademy.com/virtual training. So you would have seen the lessons and hopefully get a chance to download it. And I'm going to go through these lessons together with you. And I'm going to be wearing a couple of hats. So the first hat I'm going to wear is as a teacher in the classroom and how you would go about and teach this in the classroom. And then the other hat that I'm wearing right now is just to kind of facilitate how you would, help you go through this lesson together. So I'm going to be switching between these hats, and we're going to first start with the lesson plan, which hopefully you have had a chance to download. So this lesson plan is very simple, and you can first off, straight from the beginning, you'll see that it is the subject, the level of difficulty, and the duration. All of these lessons are about 45 minutes long, so it's really good to have that under an hour experience with the students. And for now, obviously, we're going to start with a level of difficulty of beginner, and then work our way up through the sessions. I'll go through the objectives, the overview, and what is the key focus for each of this lesson, and then I'll jump into the PowerPoint or the slide deck of what we're going to be going through today. So,
Mina, sorry to interrupt. You're not sharing your screen at the moment.
Is it not? Okay. So just give me a second here.
I apologize. It's there.
It was there. Okay. Let me restart that. All right. So as you can see here, we have the objectives of lesson 1, which is getting to know mBlock. And the students at the end of this lesson will hopefully be able to identify ways that computer programs are used in daily life. We're going to talk about some of these programs today. They're going to define what computer programming is, look at some of the characteristics of block-based coding, examine the mBlock 5 project, which we'll all go through together, and then kind of like edit, create, and save an mBlock project for today's class, for today's session. And a little bit of an overview for lesson 1. At the end of the day, at the end of this lesson, the whole point is that the students are becoming familiar with the basic commands of the mBlock 5 software. So they'll interact with the game, they'll use logic and observational skills, they'll use writing skills to be able to communicate what's happening in a game that we're going to go through together. So all of these are what students are going to be learning through this lesson. And the key focus, as it shows here, identifying and using the basic features of mBlock 5. And if you haven't done so already, there is a pre-lesson checklist where either you install, download, and install the mBlock software, or you can use the mBlock software on the website and use it online there. I will jump into the slide deck in just a moment, but I do want to show that all these lessons that are provided to you are aligned to CSTA and ISTE standards, and we are actually going to start aligning them for all the provincial standards here in Ontario, and as well as nationally in Canada. So you will have the opportunity to enrich all the aspects of, math, science, and all the other subject areas into, we'll have that ready for you in this lesson. So just wanted to point that out here. Jumping into the lesson itself, it is categorized into different sections. So we have a warm-up, and each of these sections have different time frames. So warm-up for today is 5 minutes. It could be 10 minutes later on, but these are some of the sections that you will notice. There's game time, which is about 20 minutes, and there's time for independent practice. There's time for guided instruction. And what's really important is the assessment. So there's tons of ways that you can assess your students, as well as extension activities for those that need to be scaffolded a little bit more in terms of being challenged and giving them more to work with. So there's tons of extension activities here. As I mentioned, hands-on or the independent practice, this is the section. And then at the end, you have, I'm just going to scroll down very quickly. You have the wrap-up, and then in each lesson, there's like a 3-question quiz that the answers are provided to you as a teacher and as an educator. And there is, I believe, that's about it for that. So at the end of each session, there is a wrap-up. So I hope that gives you kind of a quick idea of what these lesson plans are made of. And we're now going to jump into the slide deck that you would use in your classroom. And if you are, using this as a parent at home, you can definitely print out this slide deck or, share it with your children. It doesn't have any of the answers because the lesson plan has it, but it's just a way to engage some of your children using mBlock 5 at home. So getting to know mBlock, which is lesson 1 for today. And just going to switch hats here and be a teacher in the classroom. So you're going to start by saying, hello, everyone. I'm an engineer from the Smart Star. You can call me Panda. In future lessons, we will study programming together. Do you know what can you do or what you can do with programming? So I'm going to pause here and I'm going to ask everyone to take a moment and take a look around you. What do you see around you that could be programmed? And just take a minute and type that into the chat box. Just provide us with some ideas of what is around you that could be programmed. It could be devices. It could be activities that you do at home, something that has some type of programming in the background. So just take a minute and write that into the chat. I'm going to pop in as well to check that. Okay, so some really great ideas here. TV remote, smartphone apps, very popular for smartphone apps. Alarm clock, Ozobot, Sphero, tablets. These are really great. All of them have the programming, that's happening. They all were programmed in one way or another because we are using them every day. So these are some of the things that you can share. Coffee maker, absolutely. Keyboard. These are some of the ideas that you can get your students engaged in right from the beginning. And as you can see on the slide, these are some of the things that you could talk with your students about. So programming is used to create mobile phone softwares and apps, used to design and create computer games, and tons of children are on YouTube and playing video games on various apps. So you will engage them that way. And then programming is used to control robots. And that's one of the neat things about mBlock 5 is that it's not just a software that uses block-based coding that you can see the sprites, which I'll explain in a minute, and getting them moving, but you can engage the different devices, different robots in and program them as well. So a lot of options to discuss here. So we're going to get into some game time, and this slide is going to help us explore an mBlock project. Now, you can open the mBlock software if you have installed it onto your desktop. So you can open it on your desktop, or you can open it on the mBlock website, which Rami introduced to us a few minutes ago. And once you have opened it, there are a number of ways that you can access the game that we're going to be playing. It's called Space Adventures. And one of the ways is to click on tutorials, which is in the upper right-hand corner, and then select example programs. And I'm going to show you where that is in mBlock 5 as well. And then you're just going to find Space Adventures and then click OK. If you've downloaded the lessons, it should be available to you right there. And I've had it open, and you can see that this is the Space Adventures game that we're going to explore together. So once, I'm just going to give a minute to those to open it and just get a chance to load it there. But once you do, you will see that there is already a program set in place. Now, we're not going to really break down this program right away. I know some of you are like, what's going on? It's a lot of code and I don't know what this means, but we're not going to break it down today. It's just we're going to go through this game together and talk about what's happening in the background, what's happening as a computer programming solution, what's happening in the background of this game. So I'll give you a minute to open it. I will pop in the chat just to make sure everybody is good. So yeah, we're gonna go through if you're going to go through tutorials, I believe it's here. Yeah, right here, top right-hand corner, tutorials, example programs. And all you need to find is Space Adventures. So it's stage, yeah. And it's in the bottom right-hand corner of your example programs under stage. Okay, so once you select that, click OK, and it will be loaded for you. Once that is loaded, thank you, Rami, for doing that. Once that is loaded, the next thing that we're going to do is just help you understand what some of these options are for moving, or kind of using some of the options available to you, are the icons. So there are 4 icons that that we're going to get familiar with today. First one is the green flag, and this icon starts any program. The red, or the stop sign, stops the program. The full screen icon just makes the program run in full screen mode, and then there's the exit full screen mode available to you. So just popping into mBlock 5, they are all into this area here, right underneath where you have the game already. So you can make this a little bit bigger. We didn't talk about these icons over here, but you can make the screen area bigger or smaller. But here you have the full screen mode and exit full screen mode, green flag, and stop button. And just a quick instructions of how to play Space Adventures before you get started. I know some of you may be eager to get started, but it's a really simple game. You're going to be using up and down keys on your keyboard to control the vertical movement of your pilot Panda. So our pilot is Panda for today. And using the space bar, you're going to shoot these cannonballs from Panda's spaceships. And we're going to play this Space Adventures game for up to 3 minutes. We're going to see how much time we have, but between 1 to 3 minutes, just to get you familiar with how this game is running, and then we'll talk about this game in just after that. So when you are ready, take a minute and click on the green flag, and go ahead and play the game for 1 to 3 minutes.
And while you're playing, I just wanted to mention a couple of things here around mBlock as a platform. As you saw, those of you who are in the chat will notice that mBlock is actually based or built on top of Scratch 3.0. So for those of you who use Scratch, this does look similar to Scratch 3.0. However, there are many, many features that are built on top of Scratch that we're going to get into through this course. Features like IoT, features like AI, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, features like switching over to Python, Arduino C, so for transitioning and scaffolding to middle school students and secondary students, features of integrated hardware and software. So those are all features built on top that are really powerful. And lastly, you can also log into mBlock 5 for classroom management, for file saving, all with Google Classroom. And MakeBlock's actually working currently with Microsoft on integrating it into O365 and Teams. So what that allows you to do is actually log in, save your files either locally or save it on your Google Classroom and share internally in a school or in a class or at a district level. So those are some of the features built into mBlock 5 that are really powerful for education.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Rami. So you are probably playing right now and fully engaged into this game. And I'm going to give you a minute or so, but as you're playing, I'm going to share with you some questions that you could be asking your students in the classroom. And these questions are the following. So what is the goal of the game? What is the goal of the game? How does the game end? What causes the panda to change size, whether it's bigger or smaller? How do you gain and lose health points? And finally, what does the user input? How does the user input control the panda? So these are some of the questions that you could be asking as you're walking around and watching your students, playing this game together, and just get them thinking of what is happening in the background of this game. So I'm just going to pop into the chat and see if there's any questions there, or how everyone's doing. So I hope you had some time to play this game. It's really simple from when you're playing it, but not so simple as a computer program. So just, again, we're not gonna go through the breakdown of the code, but rather talk about how and get the students to explain a little bit of what's happening in the code. So that is kind of the next step, what we're going to be doing today. So once you've played the game, and these are some of the questions that I've shared with you. What is the goal? How does the game end, etc. You can talk to your students and get them to share their experience of playing this game. And I kind of skipped over one part, which you could get students to pair up and get one student to play for a minute, another student to play for a minute, and then see kind of like a competition, the score. If the score is the same, the one with the most health points wins. If the score and health point are the same, the game is a draw. All of these you can incorporate into the classroom. So for the point of sharing, and this, I'm going to open this for everyone to do in the chat. Write an explanation of what's happening in the game. Now, it could be, very simple, one sentence or one or two sentences, but I would like that you provide a little bit more detail in your explanation, if you have the time to type it in the chat. But explain what is happening in the game, and in the classroom while you're going through this, the students are going to be writing their explanation of what's happening in the game. And as you're walking around, you can also model some of the feedback that you are give them feedback and model it as you're walking around. So you can say, hey, Johnny, I see that you've included this in the game, but what about how it's being controlled, or what's happening with the size? So model that feedback with your learners as you are walking around, because they're going to share and provide feedback with each other at this point. So take a minute or so and write in the chat, type in the chat, what brief explanation as to what is happening in the game, and how the game is functioning in that sense. And I'll pop in to see what's happening there. And as you're writing there, the whole goal of the game, or the whole goal of this first lesson, is for the learner to take time to describe the complexities of what they are observing, and of how the game is operated, but not how the game is programmed. And we'll talk about that through the 8 sessions for this mBlock 5 training. So great Great explanations. You're a space panda who's trying to avoid obstacles that will decrease his health and increase in shrink his size. So these are really great explanations in the chat. So that's something that you're going to be looking for as your students are writing their explanations in the classroom. And what this does, part of the goal that I just mentioned, is it allows the learner to decompose a problem and identify the smaller parts of the game. So this may seem like a big problem or a big program, but we are decomposing them into smaller parts. And this shows this is a huge part of programming and computational thinking. If you are, into educational tech, that is the main part of, problem solving and getting programs to run smoothly. A lot of that is involved in this game. So that I hope you got a chance to do that into the chat, to write that in the chat. So this is great, seeing a lot of explanations, and I hope you got a chance to maybe see if you can win the game a little bit. So that's good. So we're just going to jump into, and this is another thing that you can share with your students, get them thinking about game design and what goes with game design. So if you could design a game, what kind of game would you design? So just to keep them engaged and included in this lesson. So we're going to get our hands on. So we've played a game. Now we're going to get into the lesson, and I'm going to go back to the lesson plan in just a minute. But we're going to start programming in mBlock really in a really simple fashion. And just, an overview, programming is a set of instructions that can be executed by a computer to perform a specific task. And you can see that on the right of my slide, there are, specific blocks in a sequence that, when you start the code, it goes through the sequence of blocks altogether, and it completes that programming code as the students or as you have laid it out. And the Space Adventures game is controlled by many of these simple programs put together. So we're going to now jump into the mBlock interface. But before we do that, I just want to quickly go into the lesson plan just to show where we are essentially in there. So we did the warm up. We played the game a little bit. We know how to open the Space Adventures game and the icons that are involved. And we went through the game together. So the next part, and there's obviously some extension, but the next part is talking about some of the features of mBlock 5. And you can see that it has the screenshots available there for you to go through in the lesson plan. And just to really jump into the getting to know the mBlock interface, the first thing is that it's broken up into 4 distinct areas. And the first one is the menu bar. Okay, the menu bar allows you to select a language. So you can change it from English to French to any language that maybe the student is more familiar with, for example. You can open new files, save new files, find example programs as we did today. So that is the menu bar on the top. On the left side, there is a stage area where you can view the project, customize the sprites, which is the panda, and the backgrounds, and connect different MakeBlock devices. So you can see that there is a devices tab, and I'll jump into mBlock 5 in just a minute, and you can see how you can add these different devices and interact with them that way. The blocks area is where there's a library of programming blocks sorted by different color-coded categories. So you can see that there's motion, looks, sound, all the way down to variables, mBlocks, and then you can add extensions. And finally, the script area is where you're going to drag those blocks into and start programming your code there. And it controls the performance of the stage area. So I'm gonna move from this slide deck into our mBlock 5, and we're gonna get our hands on learning here. So just take a minute to you could be on the what's it called, the internet version that you're using, or if you've downloaded downloaded mBlock 5 and installed it there. But we're gonna go to File, we're gonna click on New, and we're gonna save this one because it's already, I didn't make any changes, but it does ask you to save your program. And the first thing that we're going to click on is, as you can see, that there's the devices area. And this is the area where you can manipulate and add different devices. We're not going to go through that today, but this is where you can add the Kodi Rocky, the Adreno, the Microbit, the MBots, Halo Code, which we'll eventually talk about very soon. So all of these are devices that you can add, but we're going to click on sprites. And you can make this smaller or bigger if you'd like, so just by clicking there. And we're going to go through a quick and simple task of getting the panda to move, getting the panda to move around. So the first thing that we're going to do is really simply go to events, and we'll talk about events more in detail as we go through these lessons. But we're going to take out an event called when flag is clicked. And as you can see, I am clicking and dragging into the programming area, the script area. And once you let go, it places the block into the script area. Now, in order for us to get the panda to move, the category that we will select from is motion. And there, you can see that there are tons of blocks there that we could potentially use in the near future. But again, very similarly to the events, you're going to click and drag into the script area. And you will see that if you keep them separated, nothing has clicked or connected together. But as you get closer, you see this gray connection piece coming into play. And as soon as you let go, the two blocks are connected together. Now, in order for us to really see our panda move, and this block is a motion block that tells the sprite to move 10 steps. Again, these are you can change the amount of steps in there to whatever amounts you like. And then when we click on the flag, we should be able to see that the panda is moving 20 steps. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the flag. And you should notice, I'm going to just quickly zoom in into that. You will quickly notice that the panda moves 20 steps every time you click on this flag event. So we're going to talk more about motions, transformations, changing the backgrounds. We're going to jump into variables very soon as well. So tons of things that you will get used to as we go through these series together, and just and really get to know mBlock. Then that was the main focus of today's session. Just very quickly, we're going to go back to the PowerPoint or the slide deck that we had there. We did a file new. We went through all this. I just did a quick hands-on with you. So I hope you had the opportunity to do that. And as you close off this lesson with your students or with your children at home, if you'd like to go through that, you could do a quick review with them. And there's 3 simple questions that we're going to ask. So I'm going to ask you to provide the answer in the chat box. And the first question that is asked is, what is the name of the area displaying the game interface when playing the space adventures? So is it A, block area, script area, B, menu bar, C, or stage? So take a minute and write your answers there. So we got one answer. The answer is D, stage area. And you will notice that it is also in the lesson plan. So I'm just going back to the lesson plan there. Yes, the answer is D. And you can also see all the answers for those questions. Kind of gave it away, but we'll go through this together and just finish that off. So question number 2 that you can review with your students: what is the button to start the program in Space Adventures? So you can provide your answer there for question number 2. What is the button? So A, B, C, or D to start the program. Yep, so it is B, it's the green flag. So that was a simple kind of review question that you could have done. And this one's another question: which of the following options is wrong about programming? What is wrong? So is programming limited to building blocks? Programming is the process of splicing the instructions that the computer can understand in a certain order. Apps in mobile phones are developed by programming, or various games can be developed by programming. So which one of those options are wrong? Excellent. I see a lot of ones. Yeah, programming is not limited to building blocks. So as Rami mentioned, and as I mentioned as well, you can connect different devices to mBlock 5 and use and program them outside of the Scratch 3.0 embedded software that is used there. So that's awesome. And with that, we have finished lesson 1, finished our first training series for getting to know mBlock 5. So I'm just going to pass it on to Rami here, and we're going to go through. And if you have any questions, you can feel free to stick around and ask away your questions.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mina, for going through that. I know for some of you, this is the first time you look at this environment. This is the first time you've dabbled into coding. So we wanted to make sure that the first lesson was covering the fundamentals and an introductory experience. However, I know also many of you have experience not just coding in Scratch, but it's using robotics. And I want to reassure you that there are many, many features of this platform, not just the basics of Scratch. This course is designed to walk someone through from an introductory level at as young as grade 3 and grows with them. And great question that came up in the chat is, what grades is it recommended for? This content's being aligned and integrated for grade 3 to 8. As you know, computational thinking and coding are concepts that are new to many folks, but where it's going to integrate into curriculum is that. So yes, Jenny, it will be integrated into all provincial standards. So actually, as you view these lessons starting next week, week by week, we'll be updating the documents and aligning to the curriculum standards of the provincial standards in that lesson PDF. So you'll see that just by opening the link again. So please continue to ask questions in the chat. So great to hear that the pace was not too quick. I wanted to also just remind everyone, where do we continue the conversation until we come back next week? So again, if you have any thoughts, if you want to share what you're doing after today with the rest of the folks, remember to connect with the community. So I'm going to post the links again, but where you should just go if you have any questions or unsure where to go, we're going to add more to it, is logicsacademy.com/STEAM on board. That's going to be the main hub where we're going to link everything from. That way it's one link to direct you to everything. So once you land there, you can go to mBlock software. Once you land there, you can go to the community. You can download the lessons. You can even watch this video once we upload it after today's session. It takes a few hours just to download and upload it to the platform. But we'll have all that available for you there. So again, logicsacademy.com/STEAM on board is where you'll find all the resources and links. And I